Hey, lovelies. I want to talk with you about soul retrieval. So, this video is going to be a short introduction into soul retrieval, what that actually means, why we need soul retrieval, and how you can do that on your own. So, I'm the kind of healer that's helping others to be empowered enough to do their own healing. And I want you after this video to go ahead and do your soul retrievals if this is the right thing to do, of course. So we have to feel into that. I'm dressed in my Peruvian pullover, and here we go. So, soul retrieval is an ancient concept that's known in the ancient cultures and done for thousands of years. And it's also found in modern psychology. So let me use the words of modern psychology to explain it to our mind, and then we can switch into the energetic side and what that actually means. So when we experience trauma, it can be like huge trauma, like visible trauma, like abuse, a car accident, something that's really shaking us, shaking our nervous system, shaking our soul, shaking our personality, whatever that means. But it can also mean trauma that is experienced in the subconsciousness. A child that needs attention and in that moment goes to the parents when they really are annoyed with 1,000 different things, and the child feels like there's no place or space for him and nobody's interested in them. That is trauma as well. So there are different levels of trauma. And basically, any kind of trauma can cause a, a piece of your personality in terms of psychology, or a piece of your soul, if we want to speak about energy, to feel unsafe, to feel irritated, to feel like it is better and easier to survive if that piece is dissociated. And that's the term we have a lot in psychology. If a part of you is dissociated, or you are dissociating from yourself, that's a known a known process in psychology, and that is called a loss of soul in shamanic traditions. So it's the same principle. A traumatized piece of yourself is losing contact to your everyday version of yourself, because some trauma caused it to feel unsafe and to make it look like you need this part to be outside of yourself, like externally stored somewhere. And so you can actually survive and progress on your path. And for those of you who love Harry Potter like I do, if you ever thought like what a Horcrux really means, that is a Horcrux. So Horcruxes are the pieces of the soul that got like broken apart because of a trauma that was happening to the soul, even though in Harry Potter, Voldemort like loved to kill people and like didn't care about it, but his soul was still a soul. And killing is a traumatizing act for a soul. So then it's taking the part out, and he stored it somewhere in like different objects. The same is happening to us. So not every trauma causes a soul loss, but every trauma has the potential to cause it. So it doesn't need to be a big trauma. Like a small trauma, like the childhood experience that I explained, can cause soul loss, but it's not meant that every person who has a car accident had a soul loss. That's not true either. Signs for like dismissing pieces, when there's a piece of you and that left your everyday personality, you can see that because if you have been like taking well care for yourself, eating healthy, doing a lot of sports, really managing to like recharge yourself, and you still feel like no matter what you do, there is like a loss, there's like a lack in the system, and your energy is depleting and draining, that's a sign for soul loss. If you have depression, if you feel like no matter what you do, things are not working out, again, if you feel like depleted, no matter what you do, you can't get your energy back in, if you feel lost, if you feel frightened a lot, anxiety can be a cause of trauma and soul loss. If you somehow feel like you're not getting your 2 feet on the ground, you don't know who you really are or what you truly want, you're kind of disconnected to yourself in any kind of area in your life, and through that suffer from depression, anxiety, stress, disorders, physical illness. Yeah, all these things basically can refer back to a soul loss. Again, not every soul retrieval heals everything. You can have multiple parts that are missing, or it can have different reasons. There can be different energetic like blocks that are still there, even though the part is back. So it's not like, hey, make a soul retrieval and everything is back on 100%, but it can happen. I saw things where like one soul retrieval was healing cancer, one soul retrieval was bringing in abundance, financial abundance, one soul retrieval changed the whole life path. So it has a lot of potential. And basically what we do is feeling into the part that needed to be outside of yourself. Again, this is from psychology and also from shamanism. This is a mechanism of your psyche that wants to protect you. So if it was, example, if you have had narcissistic parents and it was super toxic for you to have your own will, because every time you just shown a little bit of willpower, you got punished, you got abused, you got neglected, you feared to lose love, and so you learned to take your willpower out of yourself and just be a people pleaser, because that was the only way how you could survive as a child. Then naturally, when you grow up as an adult and you start like still people pleasing, not having your own will, feeling like life is throwing you around and you really don't know how to handle yourself, you can come to the point where you understand like, actually something is missing here, and that is my ability to make decisions, that's my ability to follow my own will, something is missing. That's the point usually when we understand like, okay, the reason for this soul loss was like to protect you and to make you feel like safe and make it possible for you to survive, and now it's time to bring that part back. Sometimes, now this was an example where it's just like obvious why it was missing. Sometimes the traumatized part needs to heal first, and you need to heal first. So the part can only come back to you if you are healed, if that part is healed, and when you're consciously bringing it back to yourself. If you were like fully healed and you did all the healing job, and then finally you understand, oh my God, there's just a part missing, and you want to bring that part back, and you're like, hey, come back, come back, come back. I've seen that in sessions. People are like, I'm so ready. I'm so happy this part wants to come back. And that part is like, I'm not going back there. It's not safe for me. I can't go there. So what we actually do to bring them back is energetic constellations. I'm going to tell you my own story in a second, so you can really figure out how you can do that for yourself. But just like, let's do the theory first here. So energetic constellations is how I learned to do soul retrievals. So we are basically taking you and we're taking the soul part and making a constellation work. We're calling in your guides, we're calling in helpers, we're calling in angels, whatever wants to be present, sometimes ancestors, to help that part and you to fuse again. Because sometimes you, like I said, you really want to like have that part back, but that part is like, oh, I'm not moving anywhere, it's not safe to go there. That means that this part is not yet healed, so we need to do the healing work around that. Sometimes it's the opposite, and it's like you feel like, no, that part wants to come closer, and that part is like, yeah, let me get back in, I was waiting for this for so long. And the human is like, no, I can't survive with this, I can't take this part back, like, no, hell no, like safe distance here. Then the human needs healing. Sometimes it's so overwhelming to bring that traumatized part back, because of course it has the energy from the traumatizing event, right? So if you haven't found peace with it yet, then you might be like, I'm not gonna like feel that again. I don't want to have that again. And then it can be like the human needs help and support and stability. So we need helpers, we need spirit guides, spirit animals. That's what I'm doing in the sessions when I'm guiding soul retrieval, bringing the helpers so you're stable, and then gently doing the healing work and seeing, okay, what needs to heal from the story, what is the subconscious beliefs, how can we restructure the energy until that piece comes back. I am known as the rainbow woman, so I'm working with the chakras because I found that every kind of soul retrieval belongs to one of the 7 main topics, main chakras. So it's always a chakra topic. I've never seen in the last 15 years of being on this journey and doing this work, I've never seen that a soul piece wants to come back and we couldn't put it in one of the chakras. So there was always a missing piece in the chakras because the chakras are our energetic wheels for different topics in life, for the main topics, the main chakras. They are more than 7. Sometimes it's soul retrieval on one of the higher chakras or one of the higher chakras, but I've never seen like soul retrieval on one of the side chakras because they're just like there to support the main chakra. So it's a topic of the main chakras to bring that piece back. So let me share my story. I was in that position where I felt like I'm taking care for myself. I love myself. I'm on the path of healing. I had an eating disorder in the past. I was very self-destructive. But when I was around, I think 23, 24, something like it, I was studying. I had a boyfriend. I took care for myself. But it felt like no matter what I do, no matter how healthy I eat, how many body cleanings I do, how many sport I do, how many times a day I'm resting, how many hours of sleep I'm having, I was really doing the best I can to feed myself with good energy. And it felt like I keep giving myself energy and resources and healing and nature and everything that fills me. And it felt like I had a black hole in my system. And I'm super clairvoyant, so I can see the astral bodies of myself and of others. So I was closing my eyes at the moment where I was feeling like something is wrong here. It feels like whatever I put in, it's not lasting. The energy is like sucked away. And until that point, I already had worked a lot on emotional protection shields, cutting toxic cords. So I've been doing all the other work to make sure there is no energy vampire pulling. I was not doing something anymore that was like not in alignment with me. I was on my path already, but it felt like something is just like, yeah, like a black hole taking my energy. So I closed my eyes and I meditated and I scanned my system with this idea of like, where is that hole actually? And then I could see that in my solar plexus, while everything was light and my solar plexus was this yellow light, there was a big black hole in the center of my solar plexus. And I was like, okay, there's a big piece of my solar plexus missing. And then I was tuning in, like, okay, how does that piece feel? And that's where I want you to take notes. Like scanning, where is the energy missing in which of the chakras and which of the topics. Then the second thing was like, how does that energy lack feel? Because it's not the whole chakra that's gone, right? It was like a piece, but it was a giant piece, but it was a piece of my solar plexus that was missing. Where am I missing solar plexus energy? Where am I missing this forward movement, directiveness, decision making, being on my own path, having my own will, doing what I want? Where's my personality missing? What aspect of my personality was I missing? Solar plexus is also the point of ego. Like, where was it missing? And then I remembered, and that's the second thing you need to do. First, check what's missing. Second, since when or what comes up. So I remembered Just an association that randomly happened, and that will happen for you as well. When you're feeling into that energy, what's missing, you're tuning in already, even though you don't know where it is, what it is, you're feeling into it. So I was feeling in, and I was getting this memory that when I was a child at night, I always had, like, at 12 in the night, 11 sometimes, but mostly 12 in the night, I went out of my bed when everybody was asleep, and I was going inside my wardrobe. I was actually doing the same thing the kids do in Narnia. I was going into my wardrobe, into the fairyland, into the land of the dwarfs, into the magic land. So I was entering my wardrobe to enter the fantasy lands that I knew. So enter my fantasy. That's how I brought it back. So I was actually going into the wardrobe to enter fantasy and have access to my fantasy. So at that point, it clicked and I understood, like, oh my God, that means my fantasy, which is like such a huge aspect of my personality, to be that like have that fantastic gaze and that intuition and that connection to the fantastic realms. It was missing. And how do you want to lead an inspired life if you're not having fantasy? So it was clear to me that as a child, it was not safe to have my fantasy with me anymore. And I was actually told to grow up. I was told to stop believing in all the magic creatures, into the in Santa Claus, in the Easter Bunny. I was told to stop believing all these things. So it was not safe for me anymore to have it with me. So I needed to force myself to take it out of my system and store it in a safe place. And while I was living in that place, that was totally fine. I had access to it every night. The moment, and that's why I understood what happened and when it happened. The moment we moved out of this place, I started getting sick. I started having an eating disorder. I started having, like, my shining, the shining in my eyes was gone. The brightness in my gaze was gone. The moment we moved out, I started having depressions, eating disorder, self-destruction, all these stories. It started in the moment we left the home where I had lost my soul peace, or stored, not lost, stored my soul peace. So I want you, when you want to find your soul peace, I want you to scan your system, figure out and watch which of the 7 chakra topics are you lacking energy. What is that energy? And when did you lose it? Scan your life and have a look, like, when did I have it and when did I not have it anymore? Because this will help you find the moment when you lost the soul piece. And sometimes it's just coming because it's just like associations coming. And sometimes you're looking at the timeline and you're like, 1 second, there I had it and there I didn't have it anymore. So what happened in between? And that's what I figured out then, that I took it out of my system with 5 years old already, but I was fine until 10 years when we moved to the other place. But then I had distance and I really had lost the peace, right? It was not around me anymore. It was not accessible anymore. And because this happened unconsciously, I didn't know that I can go back there and reconnect with it or anything like this. But I always had this pull to my old home. I always had this feeling of, oh, I want to go back there. So the next thing I did, and that's where it's getting really interesting. The next thing I did, I understood, okay, so my soul piece was lost in our old home and it was stored in my old wardrobe. What if it is still there? I needed to find out if it was still there. So what I did was ringing the bell, like very nervous, ringing the bell at a stranger's door and looking at a woman and just telling her, you know what, I'm working on some of my childhood traumas at the moment. And it would be so helpful if I could just 1 second go back into my old childhood room. That's all I told her. And I was very lucky and blessed because that woman was telling me she thinks that's very brave of me. And yes, she wants to support that. And she allowed me to enter her flat. And she went with me back to my old childhood room. And guys, what happened there was I was going back to my old childhood room And I turned the moment around. I turned, like, imagine this is the wardrobe, and that, like, I came in here, the door. And the moment I stood opposite of my old wardrobe, and there was just the wall, the wardrobe was not there anymore. But I turned there and I had a look, and I came with the intention to receive it back. I was like calling it back in. I was, if there's any piece of my soul that's left here, please come back. So I turned around and I looked at the wardrobe. And in that moment where I looked where my soul piece had been, it made like a feeling of back in my body. And it was so intense. It was so direct into my solar plexus that I was like shocked a second. And a rush of energy and warmth was spreading through my whole body. And that woman was next to me, and I didn't know what to tell her or what to do. So I just looked at her and I was like, I think that's already it. That's all I need. So I just said to her, like, okay, that's fine. I don't need any more. And then I said thank you and went out and went processing for a while. So I brought that piece back. And then of course the integration happened. Then it brought back a lot of these topics, a lot of this energy. I was really processing it and making sure I keep it, right? It was an integration dance. It was not just like flipping in and everything was fine and happily after. Then the real integration started. And it took a while until I navigated and till I really like fused it back into my system. But from that moment on, my energy kept increasing. I have day after day after day more energy. My allergies went, my gut problems went. I'm almost 99% of the time now I can eat gluten, while before that soul retrieval, a spoon of gluten in a whole meal, like a spoon, not even of gluten, a spoon of flour in a whole meal would make me sick for a week with eczema and digestion problems and mood problems. And now 99% of the time, I don't even feel anything, just when I'm very irritated and having allergies. And, you know, like on a day where the system is like collapsing, which is like once in a year, I can't eat it. My allergies, like I said, I had so strong allergies. The strongest medication on the market couldn't help me, and I needed to stay at home basically all summer, or I was getting like eczema all over the body. My skin was my body was swelling just by breathing in the pollen. So by now I am sneezing 2 days in summer when summer starts, which is totally fine. And if I'm sneezing and then eating gluten on one of the summer days, I still have a problem. But compared where I'm coming from, it completely disappeared. And my willpower came back. I stopped being a people pleaser who was living up to other people's expectations. And shortly after the soul retrieval, I started my own business. That's been, yeah, 8 years ago or something like that. That's where I started stepping on my path. I stopped doing the things that were not fully fulfilling me, like the study I was doing. I was doing because I loved doing it. I was interested in it. And I learned over the years, like I shared in the beginning, I had learned that I didn't put too much energy anymore into things. So I was already on that path, but after that, I stopped doing the things I don't want to do anymore, more and more and more, till today, where I'm just leading my business and I'm only doing the stuff that I love, and I'm trusting. I just do what I love and what I want. And I was splitting up with my boyfriend because I understood that I was the one who was never feeling like I was getting anything out of it. I was the one who was just giving, giving, giving. So all these self-sacrificing, over-empathic patterns, they vanished. And I, for the first time in life, I became stable inside myself. I found my center, which makes sense with the solar plexus, but I became who I am today from that day on. Before, I felt like I'm a hollow, body, having a mind, having a good soul, but I felt like I was not able to do anything. Like I was not directing, creating, managing anything. I was just like functioning and following through, but there was nothing in it that was feeling like my path or my truth. So that completely turned around. My fantasy came back, my magic came back. Shortly after that, I discovered my shamanic skills again. Like I've been doing these things like soul retrieval, but after that, I found my first mentors who could help me to consciously tune these things on and off, and not just like happen to intuitively do them. So I found back to my skills, my magic, my zone of genius, and then through that built my own business up. Amazingly beautiful. I am so confident nowadays. I was too shy to even do one phone call and tell somebody, not even a voice message, to tell somebody about what I have to offer when I first started. So from being too shy for any kind of service offers and having absolutely no self-worth and no self-esteem, I became a confident CEO who's like doing amazing on her path. And that all started with that one soul retrieval. So I highly encourage you to do that for yourself. Have a look. Where are you lacking energy in your life, in your system? When did that lack of energy start? Find the situation where your soul piece got lost. And then either go back to the point on earth where you lost that soul piece. If you can't do that, for some reason, maybe you moved countries or whatever, you can energetically go back there in a meditation and call that piece back. You can call your guides and ask them to bring it back to you. But then really have a look if you're just like having it back and it's like lying here next to you and you're like, whoa, 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 yeah, it's good you're back, but it's not integrated, or if you're really able to heal it and integrate it. And once that's back, you feel it. It's like a clicking. It's like something is plugged back in. Once that happens, allow the integration to happen, because with that energy coming back in, there will be changes in yourself and in your life. So allow these changes to happen. Change accordingly. Make sure that you're not acting in the old pattern that's pushing the piece back out, but you're actually implementing the new path of like the more whole version of yourself. And if you can't do it on your own, if you don't know which chakra it is, if you need help to figure out when it was lost, if you need help because you feel like overwhelmed with doing that job for yourself, you need like somebody holding you, guiding the process, directing the guides, doing this kind of constellation work, or even after a piece came back, you need help with integration. That's what I offer in my prosperity portal sessions. So I am here to help you with soul retrieval, to be back on your path and on your energy. And I mean that what I say, this is for every stage of business, because if you like manage to build an amazing business with putting all your energy in it and all your heart in it, but at some point you're getting stuck in it and it's not moving forward, no matter what you do, it is a sign usually that you're not fully aligned yet and that something in your chakra system needs some support and some help. And once we can figure out like, what is the switch, what is either the pattern break or the soul retrieval, and often they are combined, what brings you back into alignment and into having your energy back in place, literally, then it becomes clear how the path looks like and how you can operate and move forward. And that kind of clarity helps then to bring the flow back in. And that helps you to have more ease, less effort, more success on your path to prosperity. So that's the kind of work I'm doing. And I'm super excited. Any comments, any questions around soul retrieval, put them here under the video. I'm happy to answer them and I'm here for you. And if you want to book one of the prosperity portals with me, they are only 111 euros and we do them one time, up to 4 of them. If it's like a giant process, I offer 4, but that's the maximum it ever took for somebody to have the guidance over the process. And then you won't need it anymore in your life. So I'm offering them and you can book, go ahead here in the comments and book one for yourself. And yeah, let's together become more holistic, more healed, more energetic, more aligned and more human, because that's what we are here for. I love you. Talk soon.